folks. This is another episode of Inside IU Softball. I'm Jimmy Cavanaugh, joined by head coach Michelle Gardner. Coach, we sat in these chairs last week and discussed the challenges that the Easton Invitational would represent. Those challenges now more apparent. IU drops all 5 games on the weekend. I guess one thing that we could look at is the lessons in adversity that can be taken from the weekend. That seems like a good place to start. Dropping all 5 games is something that IU has not yet done this season.
Well, and obviously with as many ranked teams as we played last weekend, it was rather tough. I felt like we came out of the box a little bit slow against Cal Poly and Cal State Fullerton, losing both those games on Friday. But, you know, it is adversity time. It is we're a little bit tired. It is we're traveling to the West Coast and we have, you know, a 3-hour time change. I think the disappointing part for me was that I never really felt like we got anything going other than against Oregon State, and which we had a great game there. But that being said, it still wasn't enough to win, and you know we just did not perform at the plate, and that's kind of and had a little bit of challenging circles too. So it's you know we're still in the prepare for Big Ten phase. So obviously I can't panic or, you know, show any signs of, oh my gosh, what do we have going on? Because we aren't there. Where we are is we need to work harder. We need to all stay bought in, because this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. And as long as our season is, it really is in our best interest to keep things in perspective. And as a coach, sometimes that's a little difficult to do when, you know, you're losing games that you feel like you should win, and you know, maybe things just aren't going our way. We had some calls that, you know, questionable in my opinion, but, you know, good teams will respond when they face adversity with the calls, you know, that kind of stuff. But I just don't ever felt like we stepped up. And some of that is, I think, you know, we have a lot of young players, and it's trying to help them understand where we're going. So we just really need to make some adjustments, and that's what we're going to do this week.
I like the point that you made about the Oregon State game. I would like to get to that in a second. Mm-hmm. The challenges, too, that you were talking about with very good teams, ranked opponents. Stanford with an outstanding pitching staff. You guys manage a base runner at least 1 and 2 in one frame against them every single inning. Mm-hmm. And this is a girl who doesn't walk people. She walked 3 batters. Mm-hmm. Being able to draw those pitches and battle through those at-bats, but not being able to string things together. Is that one of those things you're talking about?
That is absolutely one of those things I'm talking about. Because that game, you know, we actually had a runner on the first inning. We had a double, right? So we have that. No, we had a base hit, bunted her over, and then strikeout. I mean, those are situations where we've been in a lot of those situations, and we're just not pulling through there. And that's something we're going to work on this week, where we have runners in scoring position, and what are you going to do? It's awful hard, too, for us, given the simple fact that every trip we've come home from, 4 weeks in a row now, we go back inside. And, you know, that's not, there are a lot of teams, northern teams in the country that do that, but it's just, it becomes difficult to do some things. So, you know, that's what we're working on.
Okay, well, and going into this weekend, about a month from the outset of the season, you've had obviously a month on the road to get a look at this team. Where do you see them from where they were at the start of the year to now? Are there improvements that you like? Are there things that you're looking at just as the season has gone along?
Well, I think there are good parts and bad parts to everything. And I think on any given weekend, you can find those. Even the weekend we went 5-0. I thought there were things we really still needed to work on. And obviously they're becoming a little more apparent in the last 2 weeks. But, you know, we've had some changes in the lineup that are very tough. But you still have to be able to make adjustments, because it's part of the game. And so while I do feel good about a couple areas, you know, we just need to keep improving and know that we have 2 weeks to get ready for Big Tens, because really that's what our preseason is about. And yes, we've had a very challenging schedule, but it's going to help us down the road. And that's why I do that. And you know what? Yes, it was an adverse weekend, but we got to get back up and go play.
And that's exactly what they're going to get the chance to do this weekend, folks. It's going to be the Tiger Classic in Nashville, Tennessee. 5 games, once again in 3 days. If you're sensing a theme, so am I. It's been a deal. I think the first pitch is going to be Friday at 11 in the morning. It's going to be an early start to the final weekend away from home. Hoosiers after that will be back in Bloomington to open up Andy Moore Field. It should be a great ride. We'll see how this weekend plays out. That's all the time we have for head coach Michelle Gardner. I'm Jimmy Cavanaugh saying good night, travel well, folks. Thanks for joining us.